Yes, 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 yes. New mode does seem dope. In fact, it does. So I have read it already. I wanted to, this is going to be a YouTube video. So everybody say hi, YouTube. Be nice. Be nice, chat. Treat YouTube better than you treat me. There you go. Good job. I'm proud of you guys. Okay. Yeah, new mode. So I've already read this. I wanted to kind of give you the TLDR and my opinion on it, since there's going to be 1,000 videos of people like just straight up reading through it. But we'll go through it. We'll talk about each thing and kind of my opinion on it. So if you guys don't know, if you haven't seen this yet, I'll actually put this in the video description if you want it. Look at this new scene that I made. Check this out. Is this not... Look, I fit perfectly in here. I'm prepared, chat. I'm prepared for this. Okay, but yeah, so TLDR. 5v5 mode. Sort of domination-like. It's like domination with a twist. If you don't know what domination is, it's basically there's 3 points on the map. You take the point, and over time, they build up, right? So if you have 3 points, then if you have all 3 points, then you're getting like three points every 5 or 10 seconds, and the opposing team is getting 0. You have 2 points, they have 1, you're getting 2 points, they're getting 1 every 10 seconds. That's the base of it, but it's kind of got a twist on it. So basically, we'll go over their goals. This isn't necessarily the game mode that I wanted, but I think it's really good. It's a really good step in the right direction for the game as a whole. Like with what they're building with this game mode, they can take bits and pieces from what they have here and basically turn it into anything, right? They can do like a respawn based game mode off of it. They can even go like MOBA with like the way that they're doing the shop. But essentially this just has a bunch of different really cool things thrown into this mode. Even though it's not the specific mode that I wanted, I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's also the ranked mode, but we'll get to that. So here's their goals. They wanted small scale team versus team combat because that's basically where this game thrives, is in small combat. They have objective-based win conditions, which we'd never had in a game mode before. It's all just either been TDM with Clash or Battle Royale. So we're getting objectives introduced, which is, again, another great step. Incorporate light PvE. So there's going to be mobs throughout the map that you can fight, which I think everybody wants. If that gets put into like Battle Royale or other game modes, it's awesome. Like, it's a great step again. Team synergy or strategy. I've never really thought of domination as like the best team synergy strategy mode, but I guess it'll work. Variations from match to match. Each match should still end up playing out differently. Between multiple maps, various controllable RNG factors, and straight up surprising opponents, each match should feel different, which is good. We got multiple maps, which is awesome. Keep the stuff that works. Battle Royale and Clash, both the match duration as well as the progression and level and gear feel good. We want to make sure we keep that. Match duration for this style, Battle Royale might be a little long, but I'm assuming it'll probably be a little shorter than a Battle Royale game. Level and gear feel good. I think levels feel okay as far as progressing throughout each match. Gear is not my favorite, but they want a match to, you start out basically naked and then you come out of the match like fully equipped, and so that's where they're going with the gear feels good. I think eventually we can get away from that, but with this mode I think it'll work. Goals, like I was saying, you're trying to hit a certain point threshold. So the point threshold is a base 75 and then they add on 15 times the number of players on a team, so it's supposed to be 5v5. So usually most games you'll be trying to get up to 150 points. If you happen to be like 5v or 4v4, it'll be 135. So they lower the point threshold based on how many people are in the game, which is cool. Settled on 5 players because it's a small enough number such that each individual player has a meaningful role to play and communicate with the entire team effectively. I like that. I think 5v5 is a solid size. I think it's not too big, not too small. I mean, isn't Overwatch 5v5? Is Overwatch 5v5, 6v6? I don't know, but I think 5v5, 6v6 is a solid base, whereas Clash's 9v9 was just too loose because you couldn't communicate with your entire team. So this is what's actually pretty cool about this. This is The game has RNG within it, but as you start out, your first two boon choices, which boons are the currency, it seems. So each boon choice will give the player 3 options in which they must choose one. The first boon will be an offhand gauntlet, so you're guaranteed an offhand gauntlet, and then you're guaranteed a rune out of the gate. So you'll have your main class gauntlet, you'll have an offhand gauntlet, and you'll have a rune. And there's also rerolls. So if you look at the store, you got these 3 options. You got frost, you got flight, you got fire. But then there's a reroll down here. So if I click reroll, it's going to give me 3 more options. So if you're going for your offhand and it doesn't show up that first one, all you got to do is reroll and you'll most likely get it the second time. Just because there's only 5 options of an offhand and you're getting 3 of the 5. So you're basically guaranteed to get the base of what you want going into the game, which I think a lot of people want. And then from there, it's kind of RNG as to where you're going to grow, I guess, to where you're going to progress. But your base is going to be pretty sound. Players start with 0 armor, which is kind of rough. But if everybody starts with 0 armor, I think that's pretty good. But with 70 max mana and +3 rune speed, so you basically have a blue amulet and blue boots. And throughout the match, you're going to gain armor in different ways. I think it's just through, they called them blessings, which is essentially like buying an amulet, a belt, or boots. Or you're going to have armor because of your like a stone shaper or because of your talents or something like that. We got 4 maps, which is pretty awesome. So this is another big step, is that we're having smaller maps. So with Clash, it was literally the BR map, and then it would have like zones that would close in. So it would play out exactly like BR. For this, they've actually cut out specific maps from BR and use them to suit this game. So they're essentially, this is the first step to having custom maps for different game modes. And this is kind of the easiest way to do it at this point, is just take locations that they already have in the game and cut them off. They cut them off by using a red storm that'll instantly exile any player who's foolish enough to touch it. So basically you try to leave the area and you just die. The entire map area is stagnant. It's not moving, it's not growing or shrinking or anything like that. It's once you start the game, the map is the map, and that's how it's gonna stay. There's 3 control zones that are visible: moon, sun, star, which are basically like zone A, B, C if you play Call of Duty or anything else that has a domination game mode. So basically what you have to do to capture a zone, you go in, you stand in the circle, there's gonna be an area, yeah, like this. So you can see this like red area here is he's standing in this zone. I don't know how like tall, that's a good question, like how high you can be up in the air. You might not be able to like jump and still capture the point. You might have to stay on the ground, which will make stone pretty good on the point. But if you look at these points, they're all kind of on platforms. So like this one out here is on a platform, that one's on a platform. So stone won't be like too oppressive. But basically you stand in the points, are in these little zones. The more people that stand in the zone, the faster it captures. Yeah, so you're basically fighting over these points to try to hit your point threshold. Standing in points, like capturing the points that I was just showing, capturing these things aren't the only way to gain points. So what's going to happen is over time, you're going to passively gain points based off of how many of these things you hold. So like I mentioned at the beginning, you hold 2 or you hold all 3, you're going to gain 3 points over, I think they said 10 seconds. And that's a normal domination game, right? You're just trying to hold the points for hold more points for more time than your enemy team. But then on top of that, for each player a team exiles, they will earn a point multiplied by the number of zones you control. So if you have one point and you kill somebody, you're going to get another point on the board. If you have 2 points captured and then you kill somebody, you're going to get 2 more points on the board. If you have 3 points captured and you kill somebody, you're going to get 3 points. So the more points you hold are going to give you more points per exile, which encourages fighting to get ahead, especially while you have more than 1 point. And I think you get, it's multiplied by the number of zones they control. So that means if you don't have any zones and you go and you're trying to get kills, you're not going to get any points. So it advocates, if you have all the points, it's going to advocate fighting, and if you don't have any points, it's going to advocate grouping up with your team and pushing a point to take it, which I think is good. Thoughts on Dragonfire meta incoming? I mean, possibly. It depends on how the zones work, because you can't really tell how big these are. These look like maybe a Dragonfire can hit it. It depends on if you like perfectly center a Dragonfire, it's going to possibly hit the entire zone, but it looks a little bit bigger than a Dragonfire. It looks like a Dragonfire and a half is the size of the zone. So it really depends basically on how the sizes work, and I don't think Dragonfire is really spammable enough. I think any AoE is going to be really strong. I mean, imagine just casting like a lightning sorcery, like a full stacked lightning sorcery in here that strikes 5 times. That's going to be more effective than a Dragonfire, in my opinion. Or even like a fire tornado with like a firewall underneath it, that's going to be pretty effective as well. So it's a little bit worrisome about AoE, but hopefully it's not super spammy. We'll see how it plays out with like full teams and having like coordination. That's where I'm interested in seeing where this mode goes, is it's like nobody really has experience in playing this mode competitively, so it's going to be interesting to see the 5 stacks that come out of this and how competitive they play, I guess. Also, I think this is the maximum pyro skin. It's either like the maximum or the second one. It's definitely not the starter one, but it looks like the max one, which actually looks pretty good. I like these spikes on their head. Okay, let's keep moving. So yeah, point system's a little bit different because it focuses on fighting a little bit more than domination does, instead of just like camping points. The Valguard. So this is really cool. This is where it's like, this adds a lot to the game. It's basically what I'm trying to say. So if they take these Valguard and they throw them into BR, it would be like way better than Mana Vaults, or just like different areas that you can go on the BR map to fight the Valguard would be awesome. But basically all they are AI opponents that are essentially like a jungle. If you know League of Legends, they're just AI points that are scattered throughout. So you can see a couple of them right here. There's 2 of them. So what you do is you fight these guys. They're easy little AI opponents like creeps in League of Legends. You go and you fight them. They drop, I don't think they said exactly what they drop, but I think they said that it increases your like boon charge. So your boons are over here is what I think is what it looks like. So your boons, your money, right? So you go and you fight these NPCs, you get more money, they drop some loot, and then you gear up even better than you normally would have because you're grinding these NPCs throughout the match. So it's another way to catch up a little bit. They do drop scrolls too, yeah. So it's basically a way to level up faster without having to like cap points or fight enemies. It's something, if there's nobody to fight that's around, you can go and you can kill the Valguards, which is pretty cool, because that adds another twist to the domination game mode, right? You're not just trying to capture points, you're trying to capture points, you're trying to kill the enemies, and you're also on the side trying to grind up through killing these NPCs, which are, they said they spawn in specific areas. Again, like I've wanted NPCs in BR that you can go fight for loot for a long time, so I think they can really implement that, and I think that will be awesome. This is a whole picture of them. So yeah, they have a little stack of them kneeling and staring at each other awkwardly, and then you can see the zone's actually pretty big if you look at it. Like it goes pretty far behind this point back here, so you have a lot of room to like sneak around or control area, a lot of dead space, which I'm assuming there's going to be like more mobs out here that you can go outside of this circle or triangle of points and go kill mobs to catch up and not give people kills. We got the merchant now, which is this guy, this person. They sell you stuff, you buy things with your boons. Yeah, the lower right of the HUD will slowly fill in. So that was this little thing that you're talking about. And it looks like, I just noticed, this one doesn't have a little 1 next to it if you look at it. And then this one does. So it looks like you can stack points. It slowly fills in. Players can fill this up to 3 times to store 3 charges. So you can have a maximum of 3 buys for every time you go back and see the merchant. Which is, again, that's like another thing from like a MOBA style thing, is going back and seeing the merchant and coming back with better gear, which is pretty cool. Do you like or dislike the RNG part? I don't hate it, because you get your offhand gauntlet and your rune basically guaranteed out of the start, and then you're basically forced to pick your best choice out of these. I would like to maybe see like a skip buy or something, so that way, say like you see how there's a flight rune, and then there's a frost and a fire. Say that you like max out your fire, and then you get like 2 offhands that aren't offhands you want, and then a rune that's not a rune you want, and then you're stuck like having to buy that, which I don't really like. I hope that that doesn't happen where you get stuck in situations where you're forced to switch off of what you already have. That's what worries me more than anything. Other than that, I think the RNG, especially since they said there's decks, didn't they? Yeah, decks. We didn't got that far yet, but there's decks. So it's RNG, but it's calculated RNG so that you have a higher chance of getting what you want throughout as it goes on, right? So it's, you're not going to get any repeats until you go through the deck. So I think that will be pretty cool. You can keep in mind like what you've already seen, right? So you know you're not going to get another flight, you know you're not going to get another frost or fire, but it might be different, right? It might be, you might be able to get some repeats and some non-repeats. We'll see. It's kind of hard to tell without actually playing it. But yeah, that's what the rerolls for. But say you're like out of rerolls, is it if you're stuck choosing, I feel like that would only happen late game, and I feel like you'd really have to like drag it out to get to the point to where you're stuck taking something that you don't want. It worries me a little bit, but not terribly, especially because like I've said in the past, I kind of see this mode as taking steps in a bunch of different directions. Well, now I officially see it as taking steps in a bunch of different directions, but I think them pulling out a new game mode like this is taking steps in a lot of really good directions. I pointed that out at the beginning, that there's the store, there's just a new game mode as a whole that's a respawn mode with objectives. There is like the RNG within the store, there is NPCs, there's all these different directions that they can implement in future game modes. So it's like, I don't expect this to be the end all be all for game modes. I think we'll get a lot more different game modes, but as of right now, I think this is a good step. You can buy from the merchant gauntlets, runes, blessings, which blessings are basically armor, mana, and speed. So they're your amulets, your boots, your belts. If you look, they actually give you a lot. 20 max armor is, I think each belt goes up by 10, right? So it's essentially going up 2 belt rarities, going up 2 amulet rarities, and then +3 run speed is basically stacking blue boots on top of everything. And I don't know if they said they max out or not, but you can definitely, like, say you want to go like full tank, right? Say you just buy like 10 armor blessings, and then you want to be the tank in the front, that you're standing here capturing the point, and you can tank all the damage while your teammates maybe stacked up mana or stacked up speed to go take another point or go fight the enemies while you're there. So it's pretty cool with these. It seems like you could really push your roll. They said blessings max out. I'm assuming they're probably higher maxes than in like Battle Royale, right? So that way you can push your rolls as being the tank, the damage dealer, or like the person who runs and kind of backdoors other points. How can someone visit the merchant? You can recall at any time, and recalling restores a player's health and armor to max and spawns them above the location they recalled from. So that's pretty cool. It takes 8 seconds to recall, so it's not like you can just like hit a button and be out of a fight. You have to be like pretty much set outside of a fight to recall. I think you also go to the merchant if you die, right? Yeah, if once you get exiled, you go to the merchant as well. You have opportunities to go and buy if you are not dying, which is nice. What's changed from Battle Royale? The leveling's different. So basically, if you look in the top right up here, I think my camera might be blocking it. No, literally right there, next level at 7 minutes. So once you get 7 minutes in, you're gonna get your next class level. So the first 2 minutes, level 2 minutes into the match is going to give you your Firefly, your Vanishing Mist, all of your level 2 abilities, depending on what class you play. I'm not going to list them all because my brain's going to fart right now and I'm not going to remember them. There's no closing circle, which I had mentioned. There's no amulets, belts, or boots. Scrolls. Players always drop a random scroll when exiled, and the Valguard have a chance to drop a scroll when defeated, so you have a way to level up your talents. Dropping gear on exile. I think they've also said with like the other talents, right? With, I think it's Gilded and Adventurer or something like that. The ones that increase as you read the scrolls. I think you can overread them. So it's like you can read more than 3 scrolls with Gilded to upgrade all of your gauntlets and belts, boots, stuff like that. I'm actually curious how that works in Dominion, since you don't have amulets, belts, boots. If you have gilded, does it increase your mana, your armor, and your speed still, or not? Because I don't think they talked about that, but because gilded's going to be really strong for this, I feel like. Dropping gear on exiles, players do not drop their consumables or other gear. Yeah, so you can't loot other players. You just get the points towards winning. They're going to be talking about this more, and Clash is not going to be here, which is cool. I'm fine with Clash not being here. I never played Clash anyways, so it really hasn't existed anyways for me. Although it's not exactly what I wanted, I think this is a good step. I think a lot of people are going to be able to look at this, or should be looking at this as like, hey, they have implemented a lot of systems that can play into the future of Spellbreak. And whether or not you want your arena mode or your 5v5 like round based mode or whatever, I think you can see how it's going towards those different game modes and how they can implement all these things and kind of copy and paste them into other game modes, which I think is really cool. Oh, I didn't mention, I think I mentioned for a second, but I didn't specify that this is the ranked game mode. I don't think BR has ranked. I think it's, so I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm excited that people are finally getting in a game mode that they want that's not Battle Royale. I'm just excited. This is a really good step for the future of Spellbreak, and I'm excited about it.